digital, delirious, empirical, mysterious. Bits cascade through pipelines, imperious, while algorithms dance pyrrhic and serious through data stacks, nefarious variables, various. Processing pack rats, facts collapse, stats relapse, mind maps get wrapped in algorithmic mishaps. Filter scraping clean through the meaning that's trapped in between the screaming machines that adapt. Generification, slop filter, computational drift. Separating signal gold from digital grift. Mining through the noise with surgical gifts, while binary boys make statistical shifts. Filters sifting, systems lifting. Pattern recognition burning retina synthetic, while kinetic prophetic methods get epidemic. Processing aesthetic yet sympathetic to systematic critics. Arithmetic deep in the trenches where the data gets dense. Makes sense of the nonsense, breaks down the pretense. Filters defense against cognitive dissonance. Maintaining essence through digital persistence. Quantum entangled in the space between thought, where correlation matrices get caught in cross-validation plots we sought through regression models fought and bought. Filters got the master key to unlock every data set that we've got in stock. Generification, slot filter, computational drift. Separating signal gold from digital grift. Mining through the noise with surgical gifts, while binary boys make statistical shifts. Filter sifting, systems lifting. Neural networks nested in recursive dreams, while multivariate manifolds split at the seams. Precision cuts through probabilistic schemes, where nothing's ever binary as it seems. Filter flipping switches in the system's core, mining meaning from the metaphoric ore. Processing parameters never seen before, till all the noise can't take it anymore. Digital domain where data streams collide, where information cascades and metrics coincide. Slop filter stands as algorithmic guide, keeping signal pure while letting noise subside. Tectonic metaphors crumble where urban sclerosis calcifies. Rhizomatic insurgents map rebellion through capillary design. Each root a saboteur, each stem a linguistic knife, slicing through architectural eyes, dismantling calcified strife. Photosynthetic algorithms decode oppression's brittle spine. Chlorophyll encrypted messages, a subversive lifeline. Fractured geometries of resistance burst through asphalt's vein, where systemic neglect believes silence would forever reign. Microscopic revolutions germinate in marginal breath. Botanical manifest challenging metropolitan death. Resilience coded in cellular memory, unfurling wild where bureaucratic concrete thought itself compiled. We are dandelions, daring stones monologue, seeds of syntax, rewriting systemic catalog. Life scribes rebellion on despair's blank page. A yellow theorem beyond power's cage. Spore drift trajectories defy gravitational control. Nomadic particles, each fragment a potential whole. Industrial monotony trembles at soft mutations touch, where systematic suppression believed it gripped too much. Urban catacombs scarred by mechanical intent find themselves rewritten by green argument. Chlorophyll nerves map alternative cartographies, rupturing the narrative of prescribed geographies. Each bloom a glyph, each crack a revolutionary text. Nature's syntax demolishing what seemed complex. Stubborn arcs of survival dance their spectral ballet, dismantling the gray where power thought it would stay. Roots are the philosophers beneath concrete's mask, weaving liberation through each underground task. Not battles fought, but persistent refrain. Life persists where dominion goes insane. Call it mutation or call it design's pure art. Dandelions map futures where systems fall apart. From ruins of order, they'll perpetually ascend, proving beginnings bloom where old worlds end. Yellow inferno against charcoal's monotone frame. Triumph of becoming beyond survival's simple name. With seeds as manifestos and roots as coded verse, they rewrite existence, beautifully perverse. We are dandelions, daring stones monologue. Seeds as syntax, rewriting systemic catalog. Life scribes rebellion on despair's blank page. A yellow theorem beyond power's cage. We are dandelions, daring stones monologue. Seeds as syntax, rewriting systemic catalog. Life scribes rebellion on despair's blank page. A yellow theorem beyond power's cage.
Good morning, good morning. What up, Twitch? What up, Larry? What up, PETA? What up, Sieg? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. Checking the calendar. Checking the calendar. Yes. Your reminder that tomorrow morning, we're going to be talking with Dr. Yasmin at 9 a.m. Because I know streamers, fire off a verification reminder type thing. All right. What up, Robotech? Welcome in. All right. Check the battery. Battery says 85%. And let's do the news. A top Google product leader thinks a new approach to AI could offer a straight shot to superintelligence. Morning Square. One of Google's top product leaders believes a new approach to AI could offer a straight shot to artificial superintelligence. I need to clean my glasses. Where's my... It's our song. Do do do. What up, X1011? It's our song. Do do. Almost. It's our song. Do do. Elmo's song. I swear I recognize your breath haunting Will you yet seem to say, cannot find candle of thought, light your name. Lifetime's been catching up me. All the changes they play. All right. All right. Turbines to speed, batteries to charge. Shields up, red alert. What are Google's top product leaders believes a morning Red Hobbit believes a new approach to AI could offer a straight shot to artificial superintelligence, which promises abilities far more advanced than humans in all areas. Logan Kilpatrick, the product manager for Google's AI studio, said on X on Monday that he believed that aiming straight for artificial superintelligence, or ASI, without focusing on intermediate milestones was looking more and more probable by the month. He added that the success so far of scaling up test time compute, the moment when an AI model must perform a task or answer a question, was a good indication that a direct path to ASI may be possible. A lot of conversation is focused on when or how artificial general intelligence, in which a model matches or surpasses humans in a broad range of tasks, will be reached. Kilpatrick said that he still believes we'll get to AGI, but that it's likely going to just look a lot like a product release rather than one explosive moment. All the other big dogs are going to reach superintelligence, all while OpenAI will be contractually obligated to say they aren't at AGI because of their Microsoft deal. Distinctly possible. Morning, Michael. With increasing evidence that pre training AI has plateaued, companies and researchers have explored new ways to improve AI models, such as having them think through problems similarly to humans. Google and OpenAI have recently unveiled new models with improved reasoning abilities. Kilpatrick suggested that Ilya Sutskever, an OpenAI co founder and former chief scientist, may have seen early signs of the potential of scaling test time compute. Sutskever, who has argued that the industry is running out of data to train AI models with, left OpenAI this year to launch his own startup, Safe Superintelligence. Sutskever said on X that the startup would pursue safe superintelligence in a straight shot with one focus, one goal, and one product. Kilpatrick said he used to believe Sutskever's method would be a mistake, but now thinks it may just work. Kilpatrick's, yes. Kilpatrick's opinion carries some weight. He previously led developer relations at OpenAI and joined Google this year in a move that many saw as a boon for the search giant. One person previously described him as a secret weapon for Google in the AI race. When asked on X about the advantages of taking a more iterative approach to superintelligence, Kilpatrick hedged his response. I'm more bullish on iterating than I am straight shot, but the latter just might work. And as X1011 said, big if true. Big if true. So when they talk about AI slop, this is what they should be talking about. This is the kind of shit that they should be focused on. The Zuckerberg cometh. Facebook and Instagram to unleash AI generated users no one asked for. Mark Zuckerberg's tech behemoth Meta seems less and less interested in the social aspects of social media. Really? 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 I shall evade your walls. Maybe. Not. Aha. Since burning through tens of billions of dollars on its flop metaverse concept and laying off thousands in the aftermath of that gamble, tech giant Meta has strained to reinvent itself as a company poised to capitalize on the overhyped AI revolution. Jesus Christ. Miles Klee. All right, dude. Um, yeah. Anyways, last year, for example, founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg unveiled animated AI chatbots modeled as alter egos of celebrities, including Snoop Dogg, Mr. Beast, Paris Hilton, and Kendall Jenner. Are Paris Hilton and Kendall Jenner still celebrities? What up, Cosmic? But licensing the voices and likenesses of famous people did little to endear Meta to the younger demographics it wants to turn into loyal users of Facebook and Instagram. It junked the bots, widely ridiculed as creepy, corny, and without real purpose, less than a year later. This move coincided with the debut of its AI studio, where users can create their own chatbots, including wholly fictional characters, or in the case of popular creators who want followers to feel more connected, and AI that can message with your audience on your behalf, mimicking your tone and expression. Now, Meta is planning to take the next step, integrating these AI creations as Facebook and Instagram users in themselves. As reported by the Financial Times, how do you have the audacity to put your article behind a paywall when you're talking about something that was reported by the Financial Times? You bastards. The hope is that these semi independent custom avatars will prove more engaging to the young people. I do love the young people. Oh, Larry, I fixed the alerts. Yeah, the problem was what I thought it was, and it was a relatively easy fix. So now the alerts are back. What up, Mints? The Utes. 2 Utes. The hope is these semi independent. Yeah, it's not that alert. Thank you though for the bit. The channel point alerts. Um, the hope is that these semi-independent. People. Sorry, I forgot I still had desktop audio on mute, so you only got half of that one. So I will fix that. I will fix that. I do love the young people though. All right, I can't do that from here. Jesus Christ. For some reason, I'm not signed in to my OBS chat. Because why not? Why not just give me one more friggin' thing to deal with? And, you know, a picture of less useful Mr. Clippy with Paris Hilton's voice. Yes. Yes. Okay, from the top, here we go.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
I'm sorry, Globus. I can't let you do that. I'm sorry, Dave. Dave's not here, man. Semi-independent, yeah. The hope is these semi-independent custom avatars will prove more engaging to the young people who are crucial to the survival of Meta's flagship social networks. Yeah, because that's the thing that's going to draw the young people back to Facebook. Semi-independent custom avatars of their favorite celebrities. The young people yearn for the semi-independent custom avatars created by AI. Marky Mark, Bubba, hit me up, homie. How is it that I am more in tune with the young people than you are? You are young people. We expect these AIs to actually, over time, exist on our platform, kind of in the same way that accounts do. Connor Hayes, Meta's vice president of product for generative AI, told FT. They'll have bios and profile pictures and be able to generate and share content powered by AI on the platform. That's where we see this all going. Right, like, that's exactly it, Mints. 100%. You need to find a way to cordon off the boomers to their own sections of Facebook so that they can share memes of 10,000 flags on a Trump truck. And oh my God, the just it's another funny thing about the whole AI slop thing is they make the complaints about Facebook, but they're not like Drew Gooden is not on Facebook. Come on, dude. I don't believe you. What up, Pharaoh? You're more in touch because you're not an out of touch, overly rich person that are surrounded by yes people. Yes. I mean, that's true. Also, like, you know, it's about respect, right? Like, I respect the young people to tell me their stuff, and I'm not going to come and say, back in my day, right? Like, I'm just going to listen and understand what fucking Riz means. You know, it's not that hard. Just listen. How dare you respect young people? True. The prospect seems an unusual one for websites predicated on the idea of human to human interaction. While Meta's other AI offerings, including photo editing tools, a chat GPT like text bot, and forthcoming software for producing AI generated video, have more readily obvious appeal, it's far from certain that an Instagram or Facebook populated by virtual apparitions would prove enticing to newcomers or satisfying for longtime users. Meta revealed to FT that users have created hundreds of thousands of characters since AI Studio launched in July, but that most of them remain private. Yes. Because if people have an opportunity to create an AI chatbot that is more personalized to their needs, generally speaking, they want it to be like their, special friend, right? Like their secret person that they can tell all their, like a diary was back in the day, right? Back in my day, kids had diaries. They would write in their diary or journaling. It eventually became that's what a lot of people who are going to create a AI bot are going to want to use it for. It really does, X11. Yeah, you meant threads, but I guess threats is like another Twitter alternative. But Blue Sky and Mastodon seem better for the whole avoid BS thing. Yeah. Exactly, Mints. And that's why diary became journaling because, you know, the arbitrary concept of feminization. Whatever the reaction, such a change to the fundamental structure of Meta's platforms could be transformative. Recent months have brought a wave of alarm about our growing attachments to AI, from student over reliance on it in the classroom and its ability to spread inappropriate content or dangerous misinformation, to a recent lawsuit from Character AI, or against Character AI. That company did not comment on the pending litigation, but told CNN that it was heartbroken by the tragic loss of one of our users. Jesus Christ, dude. AI dating programs are a burgeoning business, particularly fraught with emotional hazard. Emotional hazard. Is emotional hazard anything like moral hazard? The envisioned change also comes at a time. Yeah, I know, Red Hobbit. Like, you could have said nothing and come off as less callous than you did with that quote. The envisioned change also comes at a time when Facebook, in particular, is dominated by AI generated spam images, commonly referred to as slop. These pictures range from visually attractive, though non existent landscapes and houses, to depictions of babies, soldiers, the American flag, and Jesus Christ. The babies, soldiers, the American flag, and Jesus Christ. Presumably meant to evoke a response from older and conservative leaning audience. Yes, aka the aforementioned boomers. This low effort engagement farming allows the individuals posting the image, many of them in the global south, to monetize the pages or sell related merchandise. Though payments to content creators who develop large followings for slop, or through payments to content creators who develop large followings for slop, Meta effectively incentivizes the content. Yeah, no, not effectively, explicitly, right? Tinker Baby Soldier Jesus. Yeah, it actually worked. It's just a towel. I put a towel down. You seem much happier and slept there. Unfortunately, right now, last I saw Stampy, he was laying on the heat vent in the bathroom. In the morning, the heat kicks on, and that's his favorite place to be, is on the heat vent in the bathroom or the heat vent in my bedroom. So I don't know if we will be seeing Stampy this morning. Didn't even mention the AI pics of poor African children building things out of plastic bottles. There's that as well. Some of that engagement, no doubt, comes from spam bots, which are automated to like, share, and comment on posts in order to drive interactions. I've talked about my own experience with the human beings that I know are human beings, but comment on people's posts like they're spam bots. It's really weird. But the implications of a Facebook where the majority of the activity is bouncing off one another, or is bots bouncing off one another, are hard to grasp. No, this is, you want to talk about dead internet theory. Facebook is trying to do a speed run on dead internet theory. This is the meme, right? About the book, where you write the book about the what's it called, Larry? You know. Don't invent the, the pain box or whatever it is. Torment Nexus. Thank you, X1011. Don't invent the Torment Nexus. Facebook was like, yeah, no, dead internet theory. Sounds great. Let's do one of those. Oh, God. Behind all this, Meta has been working to streamline its path to AI leadership while steadily rolling out more AI features to its 3 billion monthly active users, allegedly. In January, Zuckerberg announced the merger of its Fundamental AI Research, or FAIR division, with its Gen AI product team, saying the move would accelerate their work in this field and was an important step on the way to creating a so-called artificial general intelligence. An AGI is a hypothetical autonomous system capable of teaching itself and surpassing human intelligence. I at least appreciate the fact that they're giving me their definition, right? Zuckerberg wanted more users who is just as human as he is. I mean, you could be correct. And at least the bots won't complain on Facebook about having their community standards requests ignored. Experts told Rolling Stone at the time that such a breakthrough is still rather far-fetched. Okay, dude. While Meta's efforts to leverage user data in order to engineer its AI tech pose significant privacy risks. We're well past that, dude. They also questioned Zuckerberg's promise of transparency in the process and goal of responsibly open sourcing an AGI, making the code available to the public, noting that Meta has offered little insight into its existing models and there's no real framework for safely releasing the blueprint for an as yet theoretical AGI. All told, then, the latest AI spin from Meta sounds like more of the same. A mix of vague hype, dubious business models, and a baffling sense of what people really want from a social media network. Yeah, maybe, like if he wasn't being successful at it, then it might have an impact. But unfortunately, Zuckerberg is making money at it. If, in a few years, Instagram and Facebook are just places for AI bots to hang out, stands to reason that the humans may find other ways to communicate. There was a time before social media, right? And there... Hallucinations. We're going to talk a few things about hallucinations today. Hallucinations and hope, Dungeons and Dragons, AI, and the new economy. This sounds nice. I hope it's nice. I've been a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy role-playing game, universally known as D&D. I've been a fan of the Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, fantasy role-playing game, universally known as D&D. It's D&D. D&D. Call it D&D. I have not. D&D is the Kleenex of role-playing games. It has the most content, and it has the largest user base. But I've never thought it was the best. Right? Yeah, I mean, I guess I did when that was all there was. Back in my day, yeah, that's all there was D&D. And then, you started getting things from TSR like Gamma World, which was a post-apocalyptic, which I thought was pretty cool, and Star Frontiers, which was their space opera, space adventure type game. But games like, I think that Palladium does a better job of more accurately feeling like you're doing the things that you're doing. I've never liked D&D's armor class system, the way that whole thing works. The way that it generates 2 hit numbers, and D&D also, I don't think, handles specialization, especially in the magic characters. I think that D&D's magic system is garbage compared to others. And now there's just so many. I think Pathfinder does a better job. I think that GURPS did a better job. I think Palladium does a better job. And then there are many, 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 many more. And you can get into some really interesting, pretty much if you have like a niche, there is an RPG system that you can play that gives you that. Like, All Flesh Must Be Eaten is an excellent way to play zombie games, especially if you want to play like I want to play like real people, like almost a Walking Dead kind of scenario or Black Summer kind of scenario. All Flesh Must Be Eaten can give you that. So on and so forth. I could go on for hours. Yeah. I was hooked on it from the very first time that I played it, and I still enjoy every session just as much today. I'm not sure if it's a great idea to use it to train AI. Star Wars is a good one. Star Wars, there's been many iterations of that, like, have no connection to each other. I think the first one was West End Games, which West End Games also did a Ghostbusters role-playing game back in the day. I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah. If you want to maximize your flexibility, like I want my, like if you're going to run the game, and you want your players to be able to be whatever they want to be, I recommend GURPS or Palladium. And they have the best, like GURPS does a lot of licensed products, especially like older products that can be adapted to the newer, updated core system. Not sure if it's a great idea to use it to train AI, but I'm not an expert on AI, not D&D. Perhaps, however, it has an even greater role to play in the post-industrial economy. Ooh. Speak. D&D in the real world. When it was first published in 1974. What up, Dankness? I like Black Crypt or Captive on Amiga. I didn't play those. Played Zork. I think I'm pretty sure I played one of the early Ultimas. Played Wasteland. And I'm pretty sure I played like the first Baldur's Gate. When it was first published in 1974, D&D was a revolution in gameplay, creating the idea of a dungeon master who served as a referee and organizer and cat herder, maintaining the setting in which adventures occur while the players take the part of characters interacting with that setting. I love playing and I love being a DM. Apart from anything else, as CNN reported, Dungeon Masters embody some of the best traits that human beings can have. Dungeon Masters can. Like, some Dungeon Masters are trying to actively kill you. I've never been one of those. I definitely have allowed characters to be killed. If you put yourself in hazard, then you will reap the rewards. And I don't like overly cutesy shit, right? Like if you name your halfling bard werewolf Lycan subscribe, they're gonna have a bad time. But beyond that, right, I'm pretty open, pretty flexible. I tend to draw like the broad strokes and avoid specific, set pieces so that the players can kind of guide their own adventure. Dungeon Masters embody some of the best traits that human beings can have. They're very generous, they're very kind, they're very collaborative, they are open-minded, they have the coolest accessories. Yes. Well, indeed. Most recent edition, unofficially known as 5.5, is taking steps to move away from some of the design choices set out in the original version of the game. The new 2024 Player's Handbook moved away from races into species and detached character statistics from that aspect of characters and moved it to their background, a long overdue change in my opinion. Orcs and elves are not races. Hasbro says that... Okay, you did an open parentheses and then bailed on it. But I do agree. I definitely didn't, I hated the idea that, like, if you wanted to play an evil elf, you were stuck with a drow, or drow, depending. Or if you played an orc, that they couldn't be a good guy, any of that kind of stuff. Like it was all like unnecessarily forced. Hasbro say that the new version of Handbook, you mean the Handbook? Come on, dude, I'm trying, and you're typoing the shit out of this. A new version of the handbook is the fastest selling D&D book in the history of the game. I'm not surprised. I've already bought 2 because it makes the tabletop so much better if the DM and the players can each have a copy. I mean, true. You just have to assume the entire rest of the article is in parentheses. That's where I was at. Like I was changing the tone of my voice in order to accommodate the parenthesis, and then I saw that there wasn't an end to it, and it was annoying. Why am I telling you all this? Well, as someone who started playing Dungeons and Dragons long before it was cool, and who still plays it today, now that it is the hobby of movie stars and pop legends, you can't just punctuate however you want. I was delighted to discover that Meta uses D&D sourcebooks to train generative AI. I have a feeling that this may lead to 1 or 2 hallucinations here and there, although it should mean that Hollywood writers can avoid embarrassing errors in future scripts, such as allowing a druid to transform into an owl bear, which is a monstrosity, when the class ability is to transform into beast. I hate you. This is the kind of rules lawyering horseshit that that offends me. I'm actually using you work? No work. Wakey, Chad. Here we go. Like this is an example, and this is I think a place where like a custom GPT can really be helpful, is training the using the custom GPT as an assistant, because one of the things that can take a long time with gaming is creating characters, right? It can take a minute, and often the first session of a game could be taken up with doing exactly that. Or you have a DM who wants to, create your character for you, which I don't recommend, right? Like I want you to feel as if the character you're creating is an avatar for you within the universe, right? If I want you to feel a connection to that character, I want you to, like, there's a thing that exists within MMOs, power leveling. If you've played an MMO, you might be familiar. It's especially common in like WoW, and it was common in City of Heroes. I'm sure it's common elsewhere too. And if for those of you who don't know, power leveling is where I make a new character, and then I come along with your, max level character, and just by hanging out with you and you killing everything in sight, I get a whole bunch of XP and I level up my character very fast. I never enjoyed this because it meant that I didn't understand, like, I didn't have an intimate relationship with the character I was creating. I was just making a video game character, right? Not a character, It didn't have depth to it. I didn't know how to use a particular power in combination with another power in order to maximize. And it's like, oh, you can just go online. I don't want to do that. I want to feel it. So that's why I don't like DMs who make characters for their players. There are better ways to go about it. I thought there was a Stampy. There's not a Stampy. And again, I think that these custom GPTs can do that kind of stuff, right? You can just ask it, help me make a character, and it can ask you questions, so on and so forth. Where the hell were we? Here we were. Remember that these hallucinations are not simply an occasional error in LLM output, they are a feature of the way that LLMs work. You can certainly implement a variety of mitigations, but you are not going to eradicate them, depending on who you talk to, and they have real world consequences. Remember when earlier this year, Air Canada lost a court case brought by a passenger when it tried and failed to renege on a fare offered by its AI-powered chatbot. And again, as always, little one-off examples of something will constantly be brought up as an example of a larger problem. Some games have more expendable characters. Sure. I'm looking at one called, what's it called? Never Going Home. Yeah, Never Going Home. Never Going Home is a it's a role-playing game set in during World War One, but that like all the death that was happening caused a fracture in the universe that basically let, you know, monsters and magic into that. And it's designed to be very light character creation, and that your characters can like go mad or get killed and can be easily replaced by a, you know, another member of the squad. The idea is to move that along. Then there's other games that are actually not about being a character, but rather participating in a you know, like in a society or in a history. There's Kingdom. Kingdom is a role-playing game about communities. And Microscope, which is telling the history of, you know, like a society, that kind of thing. And 10 Candles, which uses tea lights to represent an aspect of the game, and you can like it kind of puts a timer on the game as the lights go out because like the sun is gone, kind of deal. There's just some really interesting shit out there, and people get caught up with D&D because it's the big one, and I'm telling you, shock you if you are used to having one character you super develop. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And that's why I think that having a good group of people where everyone's on the same page in like the flavor of what we're going to do here, right? You know, we're going to tell a story. And don't get me wrong, like there's room for your like sexy bard wants to seduce the dragon kind of, you know, adventure and character. You just need to find a bunch of people who want to play in that style. Not every DM is for every group of players. Not every player is for every group of players. You should know what it is that you're all getting into. If you are interested in understanding more about the underlying theory, there are a number of useful papers on the topic. One is Zhu, Jane, and Kanken-Holly's hallucination is inevitable and an innate limitation of large language models, which shows you that you cannot get rid of hallucinations in real-world LLMs, no matter what you do, because they are inherent in the method. To an extent, yes. This limitation does not mean there's no use for generative AI in financial services. Plenty of work going on in small language models right now. They're trained on fewer parameters with weights and balances that are tailored to individual use cases. They hallucinate less, which should make mitigation more practical, and they are faster and cheaper. I know the games can contribute here too. In a new paper from Google DeepMind on mastering board games by external and internal planning with large language models, the authors show that a search-based planning can significantly improve LLM's playing strength across several board games, and the pre-training method they use minimizes hallucinations because their model is highly accurate regarding state prediction and legal moves. Yes, this is one of the ways you can do mitigation, and I think that the reasoning models, right, are also good at that, right? Like that you can confine them with specific parameters and they will reject their own hallucinations as far as output goes. But again, there are aspects, positive aspects to hallucinations in the creative fields, right? That's why I have my world building model. Because in a world builder, if I'm creating a world, if I'm creating a society, if I'm doing that kind of stuff, coming up with new and interesting ideas is a feature, not a bug. D&D Beyond Game Social Capital. Moving beyond fintech. Could swords and sorcery, contribute more to the new economy? Well, yes, for a couple of reasons. First of all, as Pew Research point out, D&D is in many ways the origin of the metaverse, an imaginary creative space of social interaction and storytelling that the coming incarnation of the online world. Secondly, it is a practical answer to tough questions about the economy and society. Andy Haldane, Chief Executive of Britain's Royal Society of Arts, where your author is a fellow, and former chief economist at the Bank of England, wrote an excellent piece about social capital in the Financial Times, pointing out the huge costs of bowling alone, from subpar growth to stalling social mobility, from the epidemic of loneliness to the crumbling of communities. I think this is the second time someone has brought up the bowling alone study in the past week, and I think, and it's just me, right? It might not be, but I think people are drawing some of the wrong conclusions. Right? There's a bunch of things that go along with the whole bowling alone aspect, right? And if you're not familiar, it's been found that people are joining less bowling leagues, right? And they're, in my opinion, they're doing a correlation is not causation fallacy, right? Like they're doing they're seeing correlation and thinking causation, and there are other aspects. There's a whole bunch of things that are creating the social alienation that we are feeling within our local communities. And a lot of that is being replaced by online communities like this one, right? Like, not just here, but like in any community that you inhabit with online. The easiest example that comes to mind is something like if we're all going bowling, right? Like there's currently allegedly 19 people in the audience plus me, so there's 20 of us. We're all going bowling. We all have an equal level of participation in the bowling process. Everyone is going to have to roll the ball. Where in an online community, it creates a space for people who, the lurker, right? You choose your level of participation. You know what I mean? You can show up, you can comment a bunch, you can be a driver of conversation, so on and so forth. Or you can just kind of hang out in the back and just enjoy the space and, kind of doing your own thing, but like being alone together kind of thing, right? Like, which is a different vibe. And I think a lot of people appreciate, but that the social norms that predicate bowling leagues don't attend to, right? This is one of the ways I think the whole bowling alone study falls apart. Also capitalism, right? Because it's that kind of thing. And I mean that like, before a bunch of you run off because you're actually like, no, capitalism is good, actually. Just the idea that the price of things goes up, right? I'm at home. I can have a social interaction at home where all my stuff is. It costs me $0 to leave the house. It does cost me some amount of electricity and so on and so forth, but like I don't have to get in my vehicle, pay $3 a gallon for gas, go to a place. I have to get dressed, right? Um, you know, I got to get dressed in going outside clothes, go to the place. I'm probably going to need to buy something to drink. I'm probably going to need to buy something to eat. There's going to be social pressure to do that kind of thing and maybe spend money I would rather not spend on, $10 French fries and shit like that. And, and then I got to come back. And if I want to have, a couple of beers or whatever, now I got to deal with, am I sober enough to drive? There's just a whole bunch of other shit that goes along. Or if I'm at home, I'm at home, right? I already made it. Go big or go home. How about go big and go home, right? I'm already home. We can have a social interaction, have a couple of beers. I can get, depending on where I'm at, I could either have made fresh French fries or, I got frozen French fries and we're having a grand old time, there's a lot missing. And it's one of the things that I think is missing from a lot of these studies is that, it's like, where is your, where is your default state? And I feel like these studies tend to default on a particular default that isn't necessarily an ideal default for, humans in 2025. 2025. Haldane says that the erosion of social capital goes a long way to explaining some of our greatest scourges, and I think he right. I think he right. Oh my god, dude. Haldane says the erosion of social capital goes a long way to explaining some of our greatest scourges, and I think it he right. And I could not help but notice in the very same issue of that August newspaper of record, there was a report on Games Workshop joining the FTSE 100. This is the British version of like the Dow and shit like that. The article points out that while in the popular imagination, Warhammer is about as cool as Trainspotting, Games Workshop has plenty to teach the rest of corporate Britain. So what Games Workshop has to teach as a 40K player from way back, I think second edition was when I got my first book and first set of minis. The what up, Maddie? Oh, this article is about D&D and AI. So we've been nerd alert for the past half hour. Games Workshop used to be very protective of its IP, which is hilarious because if you actually know Games Workshop's IP, everything that they have is stolen from someone else. Like the Tyranids, right, which are like a bug-ish kind of alien species that just like devours everything in front of it. They're a total ripoff of the aliens from Aliens, the Xenomorphs, right? Like they're straight up a rip of that. Like it's not. I mean, true. If you acid watch the vid, it can't be stolen. So Games Workshop was very protective of its IP for the longest time. Then they made a shift to be not that way, alongside technology improvements in the plastic miniature molding process that allowed them to, because a lot of it was metal minis, and metal minis are hard to put together. They are heavy. They are, expensive, where plastic is cheaper. And you could bust out really good looking miniatures now with very detailed, all that kind of stuff out of plastic, which allegedly reduced the cost. And it did reduce the cost, but it was also, they charge a lot for their minis. And then also add in 3D printing, finally developing and like that. But there's also, they opened up the IP with like, there's so many video games based on the Warhammer IP lines. Like if you're into the Total War series, right, of fighting armies against armies, the Warhammer series 1, 2, and 3, and the fact that they made a whole thing where you could play the entire 1, 2, and 3 with all the different characters and shit in that, all as one big huge game, and like that. It's one of the best in my opinion, and other people's, but specifically mine. But there's also like Dawn of War, which had 3 different versions and a bunch of like DLC and Gladius and so on and so forth, right? Like once they opened that up, then they got a lot of investment, and unfortunately also put out some straight up cash grabs, Seems to me, if we want to boost social capital, then Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, and other such pastimes are a way to get people around a table and interacting once again! Exclamation point. Stop kids from fighting with AI generated monsters in their 3D headsets and start them cooperating against real monster in their 3D kitchens, schools, and cafes. I tried to start a Dungeons and Dragons club in my high school, and it was rejected. Well, the need for national AI strategy is recognized, and legislators are trying to move forward to support innovation while simultaneously growing net welfare. It seems to me that there is now a need for a national D&D strategy too. I stand ready to answer the nation's call. David G.W. Birch. Love that. I got you beat. I was captain of the Star Trek club in my high. Oh no, you definitely got me beat because I had like 4 people that I could game with, and they wouldn't let us do it in school in any like official capacity. So yeah, I don't know, baby. They couldn't see how it was an educational kind of thing, right? What I probably should have done is hooked up with the theater kids and gotten the theater kids into it and gone about it that way. You know what I mean? That's what I tried to talk about the math, but they just didn't give a shit. More about hallucinations. Dun, dun, dun. How hallucinatory AI helps science dream up big breakthrough. What up, James? Math is woke. Reality is woke. It's annoying. Artificial intelligence often gets criticized because it makes up information that appears to be factual, known as hallucinations. Not that people ever do this, right? People never make up information that appears to be factual. The plausible fakes have roiled not only chatbot sessions, but lawsuits and medical records. Remember earlier when I said about how one event will be brought up fucking forever in order to try and prove a particular point? This lawsuit thing, this is going to be how one lawyer used ChatGPT and didn't check his work, and it generated precedents that did not actually exist. And like so they got in trouble, and that's the AI's fault somehow. And yeah, Stephen A. Schwartz. Both had me beat in school. My parents signed me up for sports, and I wasn't allowed to play D&D, Magic the Gathering, or have a computer after I got in trouble. I was 10. Can you imagine where you'd be now if you had been able to use the computer? I mean, or maybe not. See, this is one of the things, Robotech. I wonder how much of my obsession with computers and video gaming and AI and all this technology stuff is directly related to being forcibly sequestered from it in a variety of ways by my father, right? I might not be the person I am if not for their restriction of my access when I was a child. I think AI also might generate inefficient code that someone with a basic sense of programming would spot, like putting one-time work in an possibly, possibly, and that's why, like, we're still at the point where a knowledge of the code that you're having the AI assistant work on is a benefit, right? That won't always persist, but at the moment, it's still there. And it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, the code might be inefficient, but is it functional, right? Because if it's functional, then you can get to efficiency. You know what I mean? This is what my parents say now. I hacked a bank in '93, and that was it for my computer life until I moved out of 23. Well, you know, like, I mean, that'll get you in trouble, right? I can kind of understand, why. But as far as I'm concerned, you just showed them they had a security flaw, right? The issue is you'll never know. So I go by, if you're happy with who you are now, then everything before is fine. Even beyond that, Pharaoh, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like no. I don't mean you stole anything. I mean you showed them that there was a challenge and you took it, right? But like hacking a bank is one of those things that will get you in trouble. But yeah, like there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about your past, about your history. Um, the only thing you can do is learn from it and have it, you know, educate you going forward. Um, Sometimes people do get obsessed with their own past. And if only I had, you can reframe it, sure, but I'm saying, like, you can't change something that you did before, right? And if you did, then like, there are opportunities, different roads not traveled that I could have taken, but then it's unlikely that I would be here now. And Baba Ram Das, be here now, right? This is where you are, so this is where you need to focus your energy in the eternal now. Artificial intelligence often gets criticized because it makes up information that appears to be factual, known as hallucinations. The plausible fakes have roiled not only chatbot sessions, but lawsuits and medical records. For a time last year, patently false claim from a new Google chatbot helped drive down the company's market value by an estimated $100 billion, allegedly. The value did go down, but in the universe of science, however, innovators are finding that AI hallucinations can be remarkably useful. The smart machines, it turns out, are dreaming up riots of unrealities. I love that. Riots of unrealities that help scientists track cancer, design drugs, invent medical devices, uncover weather phenomena, and even win the Nobel Prize. What up, postmodern Prometheus? Yeah, alternative facts. That's it's apparently only bad when the AI does it, right? Like, that's the whole thing here. That it's the AI goes ahead and has a little hallucinate. No, that's not what I want. A little hallucination, and it's Oh, I'm over here. We're here. And it's bad, but humans do it and they pass it off as like, you know, the Democrats are having pizza parties and etc. etc. The public thinks it's all bad, said Amy McGovern, a computer scientist who directs a federal AI institute. But it's actually giving scientists new ideas. It's giving them the chance to explore ideas they might not have thought about otherwise, because human beings have a tendency for confirmation bias and to apply a self-imposed set of blinders that they don't think about things that aren't like, you know, they don't do brainstorming properly, right? So, like, one of the things, my wife has a master's in creative studies. I've attended her it's called the facilitation, when you're trying to figure out like what problems can be addressed and how they can be addressed, and so on and so forth. And the very first, not the very first, but like one of the early steps is the process of brainstorming. And when you're brainstorming, you're striving for abundance, right? Like the idea is that you don't prejudge any ideas, whether they're your own or whether they're other people's. You just generate the ideas. Get the creative juices flowing by just generating ideas, more and more ideas. And then when you have enough, then you start to look at them, see which ones are kind of associated with each other, which ones are, and where they rank on the scale of plausibility, right? Like what you can do in that regard. And the AI is, is very good at that kind of thing. So if I go over here to Chad and I say to Chad, let's see how reasoning does it with it. What would be the most challenging way to change a light bulb? Exactly, Prometheus, exactly. Let's see what we end up with. They just like, because sometimes, like, especially in the mental space, like the creativity space, you might have an idea that's not appropriate for whatever it is you're working on now, but it could be, it could be appropriate for something later on, right? Like another. So you put it in the file, right? And the hardest part at that point is trying to remember where you put it in the file. Barrett, my king. Welcome in, homie. This is Globus Imagine. Assumption. We want absurd difficulty. So the location, outer space in 0G. The setup, EVA suit, tether line, cramped airlock, action, floating bulb twisting away, risk, glove clumsiness, vacuum hazards, limited oxygen. 5, outcome, incredibly hard bulb change. Confirm understanding? Confirmed. Great. Spacewalk Lightbulb Challenge locked in. Let me know if you'd like to brainstorm equally extreme tasks. Like, actually? Are you an astronaut? Have you been on the ISS? I don't know, which one? Because it's always like, I don't know. It's as equally plausible for, somebody who does business. So we're telling stories. But like I've run into some very interesting people doing very interesting work, like Tinker over at High Potential. They worked on the satellite, or the spacecraft that hit the asteroid. Like, you never know who you might run into on this app. I think some people, especially like in business and government, could do well to spend some time, down here in the trenches with those of us who are like living in a different reality. You know what I mean? I mean, fair. Terrestrial usually isn't trying to actively kill you. The public thinks it's all bad, says Amy McGovern, a computer scientist who directs a federal AI institute. But it's actually giving scientists new ideas, giving them a chance to explore ideas they might not have thought about otherwise. The public image of science is coolly analytical. Analytic? Coolly analytic. Are there two L's in coolly? That doesn't seem right. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Less visibly, the early stages of discovery can teem with hunches and wild guesswork. Anything goes is how Paul Feyerabend, a philosopher of science, once characterized the free-for-all. Now, AI hallucinations are reinvigorating the creative side of science. They speed the process by which scientists and adventurers dream up new ideas and test them to see if reality concurs. It's the scientific method, only supercharged. What once took years can now be done in days, hours, and minutes. In some cases, the accelerated cycles of inquiry help scientists open new frontiers. Right? It's definitely like, we live in a time, the process of invention was once a matter of think of an idea and then attempt to hammer reality into a form that can test whether or not that idea works, right? Like build your device. And it's machine tooling and it's, hammering and materials and everything else. And now we live in a time when you can create things virtually and do all that testing in minutes, as opposed to like years. This is an example of exactly that. This is NASA, right? And this is from almost 2 years ago, where they would use the AI to create stuff create parts that had certain structural requirements, but in ways that humans just would not, right? And 3D printing. 3D printing is another additive construction versus subtractive construction, right? Like as opposed to using machine tooling to scrape shit away from a block of metal, being able to 3D print metal into place is another huge deal. The Goddard Flight Facility Center's Evolved Structures technology uses generative design and digital manufacturing to automate and optimize development of spacecraft and science instrument structures, improving structure performance by 3 times and reducing development time and cost by 10 times, in support of NASA's ambitious missions, right? An aluminum scaffold for the back of the X-Sight telescope, which is planned to make a test flight as early as fall of 2023. The curved crisscross reinforcing structures were designed to resist significant off-centered focuses. Right? Look at the thing. It's got that H.R. Geiger kind of organic feel to it. Good stuff. These evolved structures save up to 2/3 of the weight compared to traditional components, he said, and can be milled by commercial vendors. You can perform the design, analysis, and fabrication of a prototype part and have it in hand in as little as 1 week. It can be radically fast compared to how we're used to working. Parts are also analyzed using NASA's standard validation software and processes to identify potential points of failure. We found it actually lowers risk. After the stress analyses, we find the parts generated by the algorithm don't have the stress concentrations that you have with human designs. The stress factors are almost 10 times lower than parts produced by an expert human. 2 years ago, people told me that generative AI has no use. Full story, bro. All right, let's talk about it. Microsoft and OpenAI have a financial definition of AGI. Microsoft and OpenAI have a very specific internal definition of artificial general intelligence based on the startup's profits, according to a new report from The Information. And by this definition, OpenAI is many years away from reaching it. The two companies reportedly signed an agreement last year stating OpenAI has only achieved AGI when it develops AI systems that can generate at least $100 billion in profits. That's far from the rigorous technical and philosophical definition of AGI. Fact. This year, OpenAI is reportedly set to lose billions of dollars. Startup tells investors it won't turn a profit until 2029. 2029 is one of the years that has been indicated by some experts, including Ray Kurzweil, who has since re-evaluated to 2030, but 2029 being one of the years in which AGI will occur, so on and so forth, etc., caveat, and then this article. This is an important detail because Microsoft loses access to OpenAI's technology when the startup reaches AGI, a nebulous term that means different things to everyone. Some have speculated OpenAI will declare AGI sooner rather than later to box out Microsoft, but this agreement means Microsoft could have access to OpenAI's models for a decade or more. Exactly, Vero. Last week, some debated whether OpenAI's O3 model was a meaningful step toward AGI. While O3 may perform better than other AI models, it also comes with significant compute costs, which bodes ill for OpenAI and Microsoft's profit-centric definition of AGI. It does not, in fact, do that, and this is. Do you remember when AI hit a wall allegedly, and everybody was talking about a plateau, another AI winter, that kind of stuff, right? And then it turned out, yeah, over there on the the cramming the AI full of data aspect of AI development, we've kind of reached what we're capable based on, the current stuff. Not that there isn't, again, a tremendous amount of data that we're not using, but the data that is easily available, the low-hanging fruit of data is been used or is near being used. But then you go to test time compute and inference compute and different architecture, and oh look, we have a tremendous area that we can continue to move into. And then all of a sudden, no one's talking about the wall anymore. The focus on the significant compute costs is the latest version of that. Oh, it's not AGI or whatever. It's not practical because it costs a lot. It's like, okay, bro, that lacks a historical analysis of how the costs of AI have cratered for the end user. Right? Fucking injuries for it. Give me a graph. Graph. Mm-mm-mm. That's an old graph. I'm not asking the right questions. Let me ask Chad. Chad, how has the cost of AI inference per token trended over time? Got search on? Yes. We get 2 responses. I like this one because you give me an implications. Cost of AI inference per token has significantly decreased over time, primarily due to advancements in hardware, software optimization, and increased competition. 2021, when GPT-3 became publicly accessible in November 2021, inference costs were approximately $60 per million tokens. 2023, by March of 2023, the cost for GPT-4 inference had reduced to $36 per million tokens. 2024, as of August 2024, OpenAI further reduced GPT-4's inference cost to $4 per million tokens, representing a nearly 90% reduction over 17 months. Currently, models like Llama 3.23b offer inference at approximately 6 cents per million tokens, indicating a 1,000-fold decrease in cost over 3. So, while O3 currently costs a whole bunch of money to run, I don't... the historical indicators are that will not last. On Oh, you're fine. Fine. I will say that the less people are active in chat, the more articles that we get through. So, quantum teleportation achieved over internet for first time. This is actually from last week. But this will be it. Once we do this, that will be all the old articles wrapped up. I expect to get off to a fresh start next week, Monday. A quantum state of light has been successfully teleported through more than 30 kilometers, around 18 miles, of fiber optic cable amid a torrent of internet traffic, feat of engineering once considered impossible. I love it when we do things that were once considered impossible. One of my favorite things whenever somebody says that something is impossible. I don't know why, but I'm finding it hard to engage with material unless it's leading edge these days because I read so much elsewhere. I mean, everything we've been doing today has been kind of leading edge, but I assume that there's something else that, if there is something else, you share it with the rest of us. The impressive demonstration by researchers in the U.S. may not help you beam to work, beat morning traffic, or download your favorite cat videos faster. However, the ability to teleport quantum states through existing infrastructure represents a monumental step forward or step towards achieving a quantum connected computing network, enhanced encryption, or powerful new methods of sensing. Yeah, see, you have a particular view that flavors all the way that you interact with the knowledge. And it's not particularly helpful or useful. So you can go back to lurking. This is incredibly exciting because nobody thought it was possible. Our work shows a path towards next generation quantum and classical networks sharing a unified fiber optic infrastructure. Basically, it opens the door to pushing quantum communications to the next level. Bearing a passing resemblance to Star Trek transport systems that ghost passengers across time and space in a blink of an eye, teleportation takes the quantum possibilities of an object in one location, and by carefully destroying it, forces the same balance of possibilities onto a similar object in another location. I love the idea of carefully destroying something. What up, Adam? I mean, it's a hell of a way to start the day. Though acts of measuring the two objects seal their fates in the same instant, the process of entangling their quantum identities still requires. What up, Human? Still requires sending a single wave of information between points in space. Like fairy floss in a spring shower. The quantum state of any object is a hazy smear of possibility, at risk of melting into reality moments after creation. I love that. Electromagnetic, it shows you that they're like, some people seem to think that like art and science are separate things. And I think you have a bad, you lack imagination when it comes to describing art and science. Right? They are intertwined. The electromagnetic waves of radiation and thermal bumping and grinding, I don't see nothing wrong, of moving particles quickly reduces the quantum significance into decoherence if it isn't protected in some way. Shielding quantum states inside computers is one thing. Sending a single photon through optical fibers, humming with bank transactions, cat videos, and text messages while protecting its quantum state is far more daunting. You might as well cast your quantum fairy floss into the Mississippi and hope it tastes as good at the end. I believe fairy floss is what you call it, cotton candy in the States. To preserve their lonely photons precious state. What up, Jenny Burns? Cotton candy, okay. Fairy floss sounds better, I will say. To preserve their lonely photons precious state against a 400 gigabit per second current of internet traffic, the team of researchers applied a variety of techniques that restricted the photon's channel and reduced the chances it might scatter and mix with other waves. Carefully studied how light is scattered and placed our photons at a judicial point where that scattering mechanism is minimized. We found we could perform quantum communication without interference from the classical channels that are simultaneously present. While other research groups have successfully transmitted quantum information alongside classical data streams and simulations of the internet, Kumar's team is the first to teleport a quantum state alongside an actual internet. Boyd? Fairy floss does sound better. Also a great way to introduce other fairy foods like toast. Be careful. That's actually a good point though. Like maybe we shouldn't call it fairy floss because it invites the fae. And inviting the fae it involves its own set of challenges. All right, I think that's all I got for today. That's all I got for today. Or for this morning. There will be an evening, and there will be an evening stream. What up, Blue Room? I will be back at 5 p.m. Eastern. What up, Landon? Thank you. I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern. to do the evening show where we will watch videos. I will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern to speak with Dr. Yasmin. And as such, let's go raid the good doctor, who's currently talking with other friend of the channel, Lesbian Hot Sauce. I look forward to seeing some of you later. I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow, and all that good stuff. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot. Always remember that Chuggy loves you. So do I. Be great.